Hey guys, thanks for joining me. This is Will Frazier. I'm a real estate agent here in Oklahoma City with IRA Courtyard Real Estate. We're the best. Like seriously, it's not even a competition. We can talk about that some other time. What I want to do today is I want to illustrate a principle or an idea called the Roth IRA Conversion Ladder. Now you're probably going to recognize the title of this live video from one I did about 3 hours ago. And if you tried to watch that, apparently my tech setup thought that I was wanting to do basically a time-lapse hyperspeed, like shaky thing. It was crazy because my voice was normal, but my actions were that, and it was like watching the Blair Witch Project after I had chugged like 5 cups of coffee in 3 times fast forward speed. So we're gonna try this again. We lost our good lighting, but also have less distractions. So bear with me on the light and let's dive in. I'm going to show you why the Roth IRA Conversion Ladder is powerful and what it is. So I'm gonna write stuff on the board. I'll talk you through it first, and then I'll zoom in and we'll show it. So the Roth IRA Conversion Ladder, what up Eli? The Roth IRA Conversion Ladder is this. It's a way of taking 401k funds and moving them to a Roth IRA. And this is something that I've learned as part of the financial independence, or FI movement, also called the FIRE movement. And that movement is made up of a bunch of people who are saying, you know what, we don't want to need to have to work. We don't want to have to work until we're 67, 70, 75, and we recognize that the world is improving health-wise, so that we're living longer and longer. We're figuring out ways to heal stuff, and so the average, like the ideology of, I mean, if you work till 70, that's late in a lot of people's definition. You may have 30 years of post-retirement life to fund, and most people are saying, like, man, that can't happen. So the financial independence movement is saying, how can we live a little bit more wisely? How can we not be dependent on, like an employer or employment situation that is not ideal, but we're just doing that to pay the bills. So this is the Roth IRA Conversion Ladder, and let's dive in. So there's 2 kinds of retirement investments that are kind of popular in the mainstream. There's the 401k, and there's the Roth IRA. The 401k is very similar to the traditional IRA in that these are pre-tax dollars. So 0% tax on your contributions, and that's up to a threshold. I think this year for people under 50 or 55, that contribution limit is either $17,000 or $18,000. So this has not been taxed. Contributing up to that limit every year is not a taxable event. And then you have a different class of tax favored investments, Roth IRAs, anything that says Roth. Technically, there's a Roth 401k. It's the same concept. The money you're putting into this has already been taxed, so it won't be taxed on the withdrawal. So 0% tax out. So here is the concept. Hey Jillian, good to see you. Here's the concept of the Roth IRA Conversion Ladder. It is, you've got a 401k that the government has structured so that you can put money into your 401k, and the government's saying, hey, we're not going to tax you on this contribution. Then you have a whole different class where the government's saying, hey, we're not going to tax you on this withdrawal. There's a way, buried in the 8,000-page tax code, to convert money from a 401k to a Roth IRA. And that can be magic because this is a 0% tax on the way out, and this is 0% tax on the way in. So if you can figure out a way to convert your 0% tax in money to your 0% tax out, there could be some magic. Now, here's the deal. This conversion is a taxable event. So let's imagine this scenario. You're 50 years old and you say, hey, we have enough money in our 401k and enough money in our Roth IRA and our taxable savings accounts otherwise to be able to comfortably retire right now. But, I can't take distributions from my Roth IRA until I'm 59 and a half without penalty. But we could retire right now. Here's what you could do. You can say, hey, we're good. We're going to stop drawing a paycheck, and you leave your employment situation. And if you have enough money in your Roth IRA to fund your lifestyle for 5 years, this is the magic. So let's say you've worked it out and you've paid off your mortgage, you've gotten your cost of living down, and it's just you and your spouse, and you guys can live reasonably comfortably and in a pre-decided way off of $34,000 a year. Let's say. Here's what you can do. If you have $34,000 a year times 5, let's see what that is. $170,000. So if you have $170,000 in your Roth IRA, then this will work. When you convert 401k dollars to Roth IRA, that is a tax triggering event. If when you're 50, let's say you happen to turn 50 on January 1st, and that is your last day of employment, on that year of your 50th year of life, you will draw no income, so there's no taxable income. So if you move $34,000 from your 401k to your Roth IRA, that's going to trigger taxes on $34,000. Now, I don't remember exactly what it is right now, but married filing jointly, the straight deductions, the standardized deductions are going to be around this amount. So let's just, for simplicity's sake, say they're $34,000. I think it's like 31, 32. But let's say 34. So you just triggered a taxable event by converting 34,000. But it's you and your spouse, and you're married filing jointly, and you only have $34,000 in taxable income. Well, if that is at or below the married filing jointly deduction limit, then your effective tax rate on this is 0. So now you took 0% tax in money, you moved it under that government defined threshold to 0% tax out money. Now you can't touch it yet. Once it's over here, you have just created a Roth IRA conversion. It needs to sit for 5 years. It has a defined seasoning period for 5 years. So that money is now $34,000 as a conversion in your Roth. After 5 years, once it's seasoned, that becomes a Roth IRA contribution, not a conversion. So you're 50. You stop working. You move $34,000 or whatever. Consult your tax, your accountant or your tax expert. I'm not a tax expert. I'm just sharing good news that I learned. So you move that along. You get an effective tax rate of 0. You let this sit for 5 years, and now it's a contribution, and you can withdraw it tax-free. So 0 tax in, 0 or low tax over, 0 tax out. That's magic. But here's the deal. You're 50. Now you're 51, you move 34,000 more. Now you're 52, you're 53, you're 54. Every time, it's a taxable event when you move it over to the Roth. But as long as you keep it at or below this standard deduction threshold, that effective tax rate is 0. And it hits your Roth, it seasons for 5 years. Now it's a contribution. You can withdraw it tax-free. There are people doing this same thing and retiring at 30, 35, 40. A lot of it comes down to what is that standard of living that you and your spouse have decided on. Because if you look at it and you're like, man, we paid off our mortgage, we had killer jobs, we paid down all of our debt, and we chose to live a certain lifestyle, and that lifestyle can be funded with $25,000 a year, then what you're looking at is, instead of $34,000, that needs to be $25,000 every year. You're definitely not going to hit taxes on $25,000. So as long as you have enough in your Roth IRA to fund 5 years, then you're in this ladder where this one has converted and then it's seasoned, and now it's a Roth contribution. So you get around that 59 and a half age limit on the Roth withdrawals, because in a Roth, you can withdraw contributions tax-free and penalty-free at any time, but until you're 59 and a half, you cannot withdraw earnings from your Roth. So you're getting around this. So you can make this whatever. If you had a killer job in the oil industry, or something else that makes that much money, and you just maxed out your 401ks, and both spouses are in oil, you both max it out, and you end a decade, and you're like, man, we're 33, and we have $1 million in our 401k, and we've got enough in our Roth to make this happen. Same deal. Withdraw and live off this from your Roth every year. Every year, move this over up to that standard married filing jointly, that threshold, so you're getting an effective 0% tax rate, and every year, 5 years, once it's hit 5 years, it's seasoned and it's ready for withdrawal, and this just keeps happening. And as long as you hit the right amount in your 401k and the tax code doesn't change, that's kind of the big asterisk here. This works now. I hope it works by the time I have a fully funded 401k. But if I was in this situation right now, this works. And if this works, then every year, convert it over, sits for 5 years, then it's seasoned, then I can withdraw it. And guys, you could make, like if your standard of living was $34,000, if you had about $750,000 in your 401k, in theory, according to the financial independence FI movement theory, you factor in about a 4% a year rate of your, anyways, that's heady, and we'll get into that some other time. But you could exist off of that forever. It's like this ongoing machine, because at some point, you hit a point where your interest and the growth of your investment accounts are funding that amount, the yearly withdrawal. So guys, that's the power of a Roth IRA conversion ladder. Again, I'm a real estate agent. I love finances. I love getting my head deep in this stuff, because it's stuff like this that can help us live a more efficient and a more free life. But I'm not a tax accountant, and I'm not a tax attorney. So consult a tax accountant, and when they say, I don't know anything about that, then you can say, hey, there's a blog called The Wealthy Accountant. Again, not me, not a tax expert, but you can tell your tax expert, there's a blog called The Wealthy Accountant. And that accountant has said that he would teach any accountant that asks about this Roth IRA conversion ladder. So would you learn about this? And if they say no, get in touch with me. I'm currently trying to find a team of accountants that know about this and can explain the tax code well enough that we can all start leveraging this. Because this is something that the government has provided through the legal tax documents, and they've allowed it to happen. So by knowing this and thinking a little bit differently, man, maybe we can switch it on its head, say, hey, this has been my common ideology, is let's max out the Roth, but could we max out the 401k and actually have a much more efficient tax situation? That's my thoughts. The board is backwards. Oh, guys, I'm sorry. Thanks, Marcus. Love that. All right, so, I'm not going to rewrite it. Hopefully, the explanation is good. I mean, you'd think that would be a filter, but instead, this is a filter. So, guys, I hope this has blown your mind. That's pretty sick. Let's do the rest of it like this. So, the whole point is 401k, 0 tax in, Roth IRA, 0 tax out. Using the Roth IRA conversion ladder, if once you retire and you stop drawing taxable income, you convert 401k funds over to Roth IRA funds, as long as that is at or below the married filing jointly. And if you did it when you were 30 and you had 3 kids, then that threshold's a lot higher because you have more dependents, so your standard depreciation will be a lot higher, or your standard deduction, sorry. So, this varies a lot from situation to situation, but if I was in a situation right now where I had a fully funded retirement account that would work for my standard of living, this is what I'd be trying to do, is 401k funds. How can I stop earning, move it over to the Roth IRA, season it for 5 years, and take it out. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Sorry about the backwardsness. Marcus, thanks for pointing that out. Let me know what you thought about this, and if you'd like to see more stuff like this, I love teaching about this. If you'd like to see more stuff like this, but not backwards, say that. If you want it shorter, longer, whatever. Thanks for tuning in, and y'all have a great night.